Judy said, give me my wallet back. As you all know, or most of you know, I had a very, very bad year health-wise. And I owe so much to my family here at IO. All the recuperation that I've done, it just couldn't be done without the people at IO. The first person to come visit me in the hospital was Jill. She was there the day after my operation. And she said, Herb, I think you need a food train. I said, what is that? She said, where people will bring you food every night. Do you object? What, am I crazy? Boy, that light is something. So it wasn't so much what Jill said, it's how she said it that I don't think I'll ever forget. She said, I don't think we ought to have this food train, we'll bring you food every night. I said, Jill, do you think they will do it? And she said, Herb, for you, they will do it. And I was amazed. My landlord, she couldn't believe it, that every night, 5, 6 o'clock, for almost 2 months, somebody's ringing the doorbell, bringing me dinner. Some people cooked dinner, some people brought me food. It was just amazing. They didn't know if the hospital sent me home or not, or to rehab, because most people my age, gentlemen, will have a wife or grown children that'll look after them. I have nobody. So, do you have steps? Yes. But do you have an elevator? Yes, I have an elevator. And a shower. I said I can go across the street to the Y and shower so I don't have to step over my bathtub. And food. How are you going to get food? And I said, a lot of people signed up to bring me dinner every night. Really? I said yes. And it was just unbelievable. There's like maybe 25, 30 people that brought me dinners over the period of time. And this has been going on. The 19th of this month will be 9 months since my operation. And believe it or not, last Friday, I ended the food. I had the last food that I got from the food train, a large lasagna that somebody brought. I put it in the freezer and I ate it all last week. But don't worry about me. I have bread and water in the house. Maybe a little peanut butter and jelly. But I just have to take a few minutes because actually I was hoping to be here for the Del Close Awards so I could thank some people who went beyond the call to duty that I just couldn't believe. Unfortunately, some of them aren't here tonight, but I just have to publicly acknowledge them. I can't acknowledge everybody that brought me food, 25, 30 people. I'd be here too long, and I'd probably forget some names, which would be embarrassing. But I want to start with Dawn Honeycutt. Well, you won't, when I get finished with you, you'll be saying, oh God. I'm not going to be too nice to Dawn, I'll tell you why. I'll tell you why. She brought me food one day and she said, Herb, we're going to roast you. We're going to have a roast. I said, you mean a toast? She said, no, a roast. We're going to do. I said, I know. I said, how can you roast me? You say bad things about people. How do you say anything bad about me? So I said, Dawn, I will roast you before you roast me. Dawn was amazing. Lives in Orange County, comes out here every Wednesday. She kind of felt obligated almost every Wednesday to bring me food. She brought me 2 home-cooked dinners. After that, fortunately for me, she bought me store-bought. Of the 2 dinners, I only threw up once. 50% is not bad. I told you, Dawn. You start with her, you'll finish with her. No, but she is wonderful. She kept bringing me food. She went to Costco, bought me a pair of lounging pants, and because I happened to mention the one I have is too big, keeps falling down, so she brought me a bigger pair. Yeah, she had to, but she brought me so much food. I mean, maybe 5, 6 times, I can't remember. And it was all so kind of her. And even the store-bought food, it wasn't any Ralph's or Vaughn's chicken. It was, what's that one? Whole Foods. Whole Foods. You know how expensive that's, you know, like nothing but the best for her. Dawn, I just can't thank you enough for being so kind to me. And there's Melissa Oakey. I'm glad she's here tonight with her fiance, Ray. Melissa visited me in the hospital maybe 2-3 times a week, always bringing me something. She'd come with Ray when it was his day off. And I have to tell you something, just to get off a little bit. I couldn't believe the number of IO people that came to see me. The nurses couldn't believe it. When I left, the nurses said, Mr. Koss, we've never had a patient that had so many visitors as you. And when I went back to the hospital a couple months later, the nurse said, I remember you. What I remember is you had all those young people come see you. And it's true. There wasn't a day, 5.5 weeks, 2 weeks, a week in a rehab center back, where somebody didn't come and visit me. Every day I had somebody from IO. Would you believe one day 6 people showed up? One day 4 people showed up. One day, 8 o'clock, nobody came. I said, well, the record is broken. Nope, the knock on the door. Hope I'm not too late. And so every day, it was just amazing. But I want to get, so Melissa would come 2-3 times a week, sometimes with Ray, and she would always bring me something. And when I came home, every time from the hospital, and I was hospitalized 5 times, she always brought me a dinner. She knows I love salmon. She cooks a wonderful salmon, so she always brought me salmon. One day there was ringing the bell, it was Ray. Melissa sent me over with some cake and a fruit salad she made, thought you would like it. I just can't get over you, Melissa, for being my friend. Just you and Ray.
We love you.
Thank you, thank you. And there's another couple I want to mention. Unfortunately, they're not here, but fortunately for them, they're not here. No, they won a trip to Australia.
Wow.
And they will be back tomorrow. She is with Top Story Sunday, Top Story Weekly. Her name is Amy. Amy, something like that. And she's got a boyfriend, now fiance, getting married the end of April. I'll tell you, this couple is unbelievable. First of all, both of them are matinee idol movie stars. They are both so good looking. But they are just as beautiful in the inside, you cannot believe. She started bringing me food all the time. She brought a shrimp salad that was so good. She had to bring it back. Do you like salmon? Oh, yes. So she's bringing me salmon, and he's ringing the bell. She said I should bring you the salmon. He had this dinner. And they drive me to the hospital all the time. I call them, and I say, they say if you ever need a ride. So I call them, and they have this loudspeaker, and they're almost fighting who's going to take me. It's amazing. Are you sure you can take him? If not, I'll take him. No, I'll take him. Shh, calm down. So they're always saying, we'll pick you up. Call us. They had me over for Christmas Eve. Her in-laws to be were there from Florida. It was lovely, lovely lamb chop. I mean, this is a couple. They only come here when she's in a show on Sunday. And just a lovely, lovely couple. In fact, I got, through Senior Citizen Group, tickets for the play downtown at the Amundsen, Anything Goes, for $15. I said, oh my God, I can't pass that up. So how am I going to get there? We get down there and back. So Michael Hughes, we'll talk about him later. I asked him, he drove me down. At 7 o'clock, he picked me up and drove me downtown. He said, I can't bring you back because I have a meeting. So I called Amy. At 11 o'clock, right there downtown, she was there to drive me home. Unbelievable couple. Yes, yes, yes. Now I want to talk about Derek Miller. He promised me he'd be here. Derek brought me dinner once, and then he called me, and he said, Friday, is that a good day to bring people over to clean your apartment? Well, I have to tell you, my apartment was dirty. I came over, I couldn't make my bed for 3 weeks because I didn't have the strength to take off and put back the comforter. And every morning I make a bed, but I just couldn't do it. And so people were coming up, bringing food and everything. So I forget about the bed, but so there was rumbling, my apartment's dirty. Well, just because I had enough dust in the living room that you could grow tomatoes there doesn't mean that was that dirty. But I had heard some rumors that some of the gals wanted to come and clean up. So when he called and he said, some people come over Friday and clean your place. I said, yes. I never dreamt he was paying for 3 people to come and clean my apartment. I couldn't believe it. Then he took me out to lunch on top of it, to a nice Chinese restaurant. Unbelievable. And then, a couple weeks later, he calls me up. He says, Herb, I got the week off if you need a ride. Where this way, go to the hospital, the doctor, call me. Well, I called him 3 times that week. He never called and offered again. But a little bit teed off at him, but don't tell me. I have to tell you, whatever people brought me, I appreciated because nobody owed me anything. But when he brought me a Subway sandwich. Very good, very nice. But one day he's driving me home from the hospital, and he says, I'm a great chef. I can make this, I can make that. And I'm thinking, you son of a bitch. You bring me a Subway sandwich. You're a great chef. But I didn't say anything. Anyway, very good. Then there's my friend Pete Holman. Like he said, he's responsible for me being here because we became friends at the Y. And he said, I ought to come see the show. Once you see Beer Shark Mice, you come. And again and again. And then somebody said you ought to see opening night the musical, and I was hooked again. This group here I never saw until they won the Del Close Award. Once they won the award, I said, boy, I have to see their show. So again, I'm hooked. And I'm glad. 3 great shows I try not to miss. But Pete brought me here, and very, very touching. He came to the hospital a couple times, once with his beautiful 7- and 8-year-old daughter, Sophia, just as cute as could be. And then I went out one day and I came home. You remember a while back we had a terrible heat wave? And I turned on the answering machine and there's Pete. He says, Herb, do you have an air conditioner? If not, I have an extra one. If you don't have one, you call me today and I'll come over with the air conditioner and hook it up for you. I tell you, I was so touched that he would care that much. But I do know he has his regrets about bringing me here. He won't admit it, but he's very upset. And I'll tell you why. It's the Del Close Award. I won 3 times, and he won 0. And he says, oh, it doesn't matter, I don't care. But I know it's not yet. I just know it's not yet. And he regrets it. But I am so glad that Pete and his family are in my life. I have to tell you. And I want to talk here about my good friend. Where is he? Dave.
Matinee idol.
Yes.
Good looks.
Well, that's not good. He's a good chauffeur. I can't tell you how indebted I am to him. He comes almost every Thursday afternoon with his daughter to visit me. There's a playground next door. She goes on the slide. He and I solve the problems of the world. Well, Dave was driving me to the hospital at all times. Now you say, what about that other couple you mentioned? Well, Dave went back east home for a couple of months because his father was having a cancer operation. So he went back there with his family. So I didn't have anybody drive me, so that young couple took over. Dave called me every week when he was back east to check up on my health. And he said something once I won't forget. He couldn't take me to the hospital someday. His wife's business was having a party or something. He says, but I will pick you up. You take my number and I will pick you up and take you home. So I said I should be ready about 5. Well, about 20 to 5, I could see that I wasn't going to be out by 5. And they had me in the emergency room, and it happened. They put me back in the hospital. But so I said to Dave, I said, I don't know if I'll be out of here, so don't come pick me up. And Dave said, Herb, I don't care if it's midnight. If you need a ride home, you call me. Very, very good, Dave. Thank you. I just can't thank you for being my friend. And your wife, too. And Jude, she's not here. Jude, Kara, and Amy called me and sang happy birthday today. But Jude was wonderful. She would come visit me in the hospital, and she came when they brought me when I had to go from the hospital to the rehab place. She picked me up, brought me home here in Hollywood, and drove me all the way back to somewhere in the valley. And she'd come visit Herb. I'm in the neighborhood. Do you want me to come visit? Yeah, just a sweetheart. Just a sweetheart. Now I want to tell you about a gal. No. If she is not your friend, I suggest you go and you become her friend. Julia Wackenheim. Julia was just so unbelievable. She visited me in the hospital so many times. I like to read the LA Times every day, and I don't like to watch this crazy television during the day. And would you believe, at Kaiser, in the gift shop, they sell the Wall Street Journal, the New York Times, and what's that one with the map around it in the back? USA. They don't sell the LA Times. I couldn't believe it. So when people called and said, what can I bring? I said, bring me the tithe. So she subscribed, she called, did you get it? You get it. If not, I'll bring it over. I'll come over the hill. No. So she cooked for me meals, a wonderful vegetable with so many vegetables in it, you could hardly taste the soup. It was so good. And then she started bringing me delicatessen food. Matzo balls, chopped liver sandwiches, corned beef sandwiches. And if you've ever been to a deli, those things are not cheap. And she just kept bringing it, and you have the paper and all that. Well, one Sunday she called me, and she said, Herb, do you need anything today? I said, well, Julia, maybe one small thing. I have a ticket to see a play in Westwood. And I can take the bus there, but it's going to be hard. At that time, I really had a lot of trouble walking. I said, walking 2 blocks to the bus. Do you think you could come and just drive me the 2 blocks to the bus? I will not drive you to the bus. I said, oh boy. She said, I will take you to the theater. I said, are you crazy? It's in Westwood. You got to come from North Hollywood to Hollywood to Westwood. I will be there. 1 o'clock, whatever. Sure enough, she was there. Drove me all the way to Westwood. I get out of the car. She says, I'm going in with you. She goes to the box office. She says, what time is the play over? They said 5 o'clock. She turns to me and she says, I'll be here at 5 o'clock to take you home. Unbelievable. Came out at 5 o'clock and there she was and she took me home. Very, very, very lovely girl. So I suggest, become her friend. You won't have a better friend. I want to make sure I didn't, there's just a few others.
Don't forget your agent.
Okay, got it. Yeah, I knew, okay. And there's Joy Allen. If anybody was appropriately named, it is Joy. She is the joy of my life. How do you like that? And came to visit me often, brought me food. She makes a wonderful chicken salad. That's all I wanted from her. And she baked banana cake, and just wonderful a number of times. Came to visit. I'm very, very grateful to her. And I just want to say a word or two about Mike Hughes. Mike, I must tell you, really didn't come see me in the hospital once, but he needed something, and he didn't bring food, and he never called. No. But I have to tell you, there's something about Mike Hughes. I learned this from Neil. Neil told me one day at the bar, he said, you know, the other night, I was so drunk, I called Mike at 1 in the morning and asked him to come pick me up. I couldn't drive. And Mike comes down all the way from like 3rd and Fairfax to pick him up and bring him home at 1 in the morning. He's that kind of person. When I called and asked him to take me to the theater, oh yeah, sure, that's no problem. And I asked him again. He said, sure, but then I canceled. He's just a wonderful, he'll do anything for anybody. I like the calling cards from the 99-cent store. I'll call him. He'll stop on the way here and pick him up and bring him to me, anything I want there. He's just a wonderful, wonderful person. But now I want to end with the creme de la creme. That's Jill. Jill is such a sweetheart, you will not believe. She started the food train. She drove me home once from the rehab center all the way in the valley here in Hollywood. She went from Hollywood out there to pick me up and bring me home. And I'll never forget the nurse there. They wheeled me out and she went to the parking lot and she went to get the car. And the Filipino nurse says to me, your daughter? I said, no, my wife. She just couldn't believe it. So, no, I just said, a dear, dear friend. But without Jill, the food train, and always calling, do you need anything, do you want anything, bringing me food, taking me out to lunch or dinner. I said, you don't have to. She said, well, if I ask other people to do it, I have to do it. That was her philosophy. And I just want to say one thing here. I became very friendly with the guys here. And Annie, the other two ladies, are new to the group. I don't know them so well, even though I must say you're wonderful additions. But it was kind of rough at first with these guys, I'll tell you. And I sleep there. The first time I came, Brian here threw a chair at me.
It's an accident. It's an accident.
And he didn't really throw it at me. He threw it my way. But it just hit the next chair. So I just remember saying, look, you don't want me to come? Tell me. You don't know. And then one of the guys said, yeah, I'll drive you home, but my car is parked a little way. I'll get the car and come get you. And I waited, and I waited, and I waited, and he didn't show up. He finally comes in and says, you know, I got all the way home, got in the garage, and I said, oh my God. So he came back to get me. But I promised Ricky I would never tell. I can't tell you who it was. But there's one thing I have to say that happened at the bank last week. Am I taking your time? I'm sorry. So that's Rick. Anyway, I know some of you are tired of hearing this, but I have to bring it up to say why. I went to the bank with a check for $13,250. It's because I accompany a blind man on tours, and the family pays our way for both of us. And he likes to go business class. Well, I don't argue. You know, business class is fine with me too. So I get this check for $13,050. Now, there's a very nice young man that works at the bank. When I went to open the account, he was the one that serviced me. And he is so friendly and everything. And when I came home from the hospital after there was a message from him. Mr. Cost, we haven't seen you. Okay, no. And I could see his face when I walked in with a cane. He was shocked. So every time I walk in there now, if he sees me, he greets me and he says, give me your deposit or your withdrawal. You sit down, I'll take care of it. So I gave him this check for $13,250. And he comes back and he asks me a question I couldn't believe. I mean, that's really not good. But he says, Mr. Cost, where do you get all this money? So I said, do you remember I told you about that group of young people at the theater that bring me meals and drive me? He says, yes. I said, well, I let them know I was having trouble with my medical bill. And they made this collection. He says, $13,000? He says, they must like you. I says, they love me. I said, but I have to tell you, I'm a little bit disappointed. He says, what do you mean? I says, I was counting on 15 grand. It came up a little. Now, there's two rumors going here around me that I want to talk about. The first rumor is that Lauren and Neil broke up because Neil found Lauren and me in bed twice. I'm glad to say that's true. I admit it. I'm guilty, Your Honor. The second one is, don't laugh, you may be next later. The next one, Sean and Rebecca broke up. Sean found me and Rebecca in bed twice, and that's it. I'm guilty. I plead guilty to all these charges. Anyway, I'll end it now so you can do your skit. I have to admit, I'm funnier than them. But I just want to say, somebody told me, Herb, you're a very rich man. I said, really? I don't have a house, I don't have a car. She said, all the friends you made at that theater, you are very rich. To bring you the food, to drive you, be there for you, you are very rich. Woo! And I thought about it, and that's true. So I want to thank everybody at I.O. for letting me be part of this big family and for making me a rich man. Thank you very much.